So let's go to load adventure. Which one do we got to? I think it's this one. With the courtroom in the 𝕘𝕒𝕤𝕤 for the second time that day, the judge delivered his verdict, which upset me completely. And for the first time, and my first ever trial in Great Britain came to an abrupt end, with the defendant being found not guilty, ostensibly a victory for us. Yeah, it was a victory. It's a bittersweet victory because we don't think he is innocent anymore. 18th of February, 5:14 p.m., the Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber. That certainly was a long trial. You're telling me, sister. Like, we literally let a guy who probably, you know, framed the, like, you know, falsified the evidence, and here we are. Yes, it was. Your first trial on foreign soil and your first victory. It was a wonderful performance. My heartfelt congratulations. And to you, Miss Sato-san. What did we say what her name was? Miss Sue. And to you, Miss Sue, thank you for your assistance. I suppose we should be happy. But trouble is, we're still completely in the dark about what actually happened. Well, we didn't have the time. We didn't have enough time. But isn't it wrong? I mean, who was actually responsible for Mr. Mason's death? We don't even know that. The sole aim of the defense is to obtain a verdict that exonerates the defendant. You carried out your duty to perfection. That you did. You sleazebag. You bum. You suckled foot. You sliverfoot. You suscalopod. You bastard. Mr. 𝕒𝕒𝕤𝕤. I don't know why I didn't realize he was Irish until now. And that girl's with him too. Well, it seems the stories are true. Oh, what stories? About the 6 enormous fireworks they do let off there when the verdicts of not guilty. I'm sure yous might have seen them now. Spectacular, weren't they? Yes, definitely. I heard it was a sight to behold, and be sure it was. And I've you to thank, I suppose, for having an opportunity to see it. I'm not laughing, because he's just awful. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure I really did anything. Oh, what on earth are you saying, fella? How did I walk out of there a free man then? 'Cause you falsified evidence. I don't think it was so much thanks to me as down to your planning. You're a straight-talking fella, aren't you? I must say, you had me astray in the head there once or twice. But you're young and headstrong. 'Tis water under the bridge. This mofo is a stone-cold killer and knows how to get away with it. That's frightening. He's not even like the type of villain that I usually like. He's just like the one that cheats and doesn't even cheat in like a clever way. Ugh, I hate it. Congratulations, Mr. 𝕒𝕒𝕤𝕤, on having your name cleared. But nothing's resolved. There's only one thing that matters to me. Oh? Aye. They've all seen that I didn't do this odious and insinuant deed. No, there's no way they can prove that you did it because you falsified evidence. Once again, you liar, you cheater, you didn't even play fair. 'Tis grand, is it not? No, they don't know who if you did it or not. I suppose it is. Now the fine fellows of Scotland Yard can take matters in hand and sort out any wee details. They need a case to prove that you did it. They'll see it for what it is. They get to the truth. I have absolute faith in them, so I have, after all. I do be providing a good number of their wages with the taxes I pay. It's not that funny. It's really not. Like, you literally got away with murder. And the thing is, like, what bothers me is that there's no rhyme or reason as to why he killed this man. He just killed. Like, they haven't discussed, like, possibly why he might have killed this man. They just said, oh, you know, blah, 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 blah. He, you know, was a loan shark that was hard. And I'm just like, did Mr. Mason owe you money and he didn't pay, so he had to die? Like, what? So then, as we agreed aforehand, 1,000 guineas for your troubles, fella. Oh, no, I couldn't possibly accept that much. I don't want your blood money. Take it back. Be what? You be a humble people, are ye? Are you from the East? Well, if you insist, like anyone wants your money. But have this. Still in all, you deserve a reward. Mr. Magnus McGilded. Everything is ready, sir. If you would like to follow me to the courtroom. Into the courtroom? What's this, officer? 'Tis the sooner than I was led to believe. I hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There were some changes to the schedule. What? Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection. Sorry? What inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I was told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. They're going to examine it again? Now? Naturally, I'm under no obligation to take part in any more of this matter now. But as an upstanding member of the London Society, I do be doing my best to keep where I can. To help where I can. 'Tis a gentleman's duty, so it is. You sleazeball. And so then, fare thee well. 'Twas an absolute pleasure meeting yous. I hope you have a whale of a time while you're studying here in Great Britain. You sleazeball. And there he goes, a free man. Oh, I forgot she was here too. Girl, chill. Don't move. Whereas I want to say, get a move on. It really does take forever to load that thing. Miss Lestrade, would you mind putting that thing down? You're a grown-up. Sorry? And I ain't all grown-ups. Then girl, go home. Like, you don't have to be in this courtroom. You did your job. They're not gonna arrest you. Ah, there you are. Oh, we finally meet our final cast. And what colorful music she has. Naughty, naughty, running off like that. Is this some kind of picnic? Who's this little girl now? And taking that thing with you as well? I was looking forward to the trial of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ha! Oh, do you want to play? You won't beat me. Excuse me, but who are you? Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. I love how you just hear the invention noises. The inventor? Well, normal smoke brigade, normal smoke brigade, grenades are so dull. Don't you agree? White, white, and more white. If you have to be shrouded in smoke, it could be at least be a pretty color, I thought to myself. Do we have to be surrounded in smoke though? Like, at all? I just took my eyes off it for a moment, and whilst I was changing into a different omnibus, and she pinched it. Luckily, I fitted it with a telegraphic beacon. A tele... What is... what? I have no idea what this girl is talking about. Anyway, you're coming back with me now. Back to my laboratory. What? What for? To apologize, of course, silly. To my technician. What do you mean? Say sorry. You must say sorry when you've done something wrong. Surely an adult has told you that before. An adult? I don't listen to no adults. Come along then. Follow me. Fine. Have it your way. Oh, good. You see, I knew you'd want to do the right thing in the end. I'm fairly sure that's what she wants, is not to get shot by that massive gun of yours. We'll be leaving now then. Bye-bye. I'm so sorry for all the fuss. Well, she's a lot more pleasant than I thought she'd be. She was a lively one. Well, do you think perhaps we ought to be out on our way too? Well, do you think perhaps we ought to be on our way now? Yes, you're right, but... where to? Oh, we haven't had time to find a place to stay. No sooner had we arrived in London than we had to rush here. And our traveling cases are still with the bailiff. I was originally planning to spend today in search of lodging. But at this late hour in the day, I'm afraid we might be out of luck. Don't worry though, I have a plan. And the worst comes to worst, I've heard of a lovely park we could spend the night. Please tell me you're not thinking of 𝕤𝕠𝕔𝕚𝕐 Park. I know it may be a little chilly at this time of year, but our youthfulness will see us through this. You are trying to basically freeze us to death because it's probably very, very cold in London and it's snowing, and you want us to stay outside in the cold. We will catch frostbite. I hate to break this to you, Miss Sue, but like, yeah, it's not gonna work, sweetie. I'm not sure about that. Oh, I think a midwinter London night would freeze a young person solid, just as easy as an elderly one. Oh dear, that doesn't sound agreeable. Oh, don't cry. Please don't cry. Now I'm starting to regret turning Mr. 𝕤𝕠𝕔𝕚𝕐 down. That 1,000 guinea would have paid for a lovely warm room or a mansion. And so, the trial determined my worthiness for the study tour was over by the end of our first day in London. However, as we were soon to learn, there were more trying times ahead. Just as the Reaper of the Bailey had warned, the case was far from over. Yes! Will I get a chance to beat him, actually, and actually prove him guilty? Please say yes. Please say yes. Ooh, animation time!
What's going on? Get the fire brigade! Water! Bring water, quick! What the? How did this happen?
I don't know, sir. By the time I got here, it was already engulfed.
No one was supposed to be allowed in here before we started investigating. No. Oh, good God. There's someone in there. Oh. Oh. This can't be.
Did he set it on fire? I knew it. I knew he was gonna do something to it. Why did y'all even let him be near it? That is the most idiotic thing you could do. Oh, I got an award. Mm. It's so weird. So we did this one, the runaway room. So we have this episode 4 to do, and then the last one is the 𝕤𝕒𝕐𝕐𝕐 Girls, which has to do with that's a Sherlock Holmes case, but this one's I think it's original. So this is episode 4. So here we go. I'm excited to see where this takes us. Okay, here we go. Episode 4. Start playing from the start of the episode? Yes. Well, the only reason why mine is like this is because I didn't realize I had story mode off, so I can select any story I want to, and it's not gonna exactly go in order because there's more choices this way when you do it this way. But you know, I didn't know that until later on. But you know, I'm still progressing as the story goes. So here we go. Ooh, the adventure of the clouded Kokoro.
I begin to think, Wilson, said Sholmes, turning his head languidly in my direction, that there is more to this case than that which we have observed. Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover. His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea, leading him to the distant memory of that snowy evening. To the young lady collapsed on the pavement along
Oh, a dead
Briar
woman
Road,
this time.
and to the knife in her back.
Ooh.
Lit in the soft glow of gas lamps, a most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
Invisible killer? Ooh. The next day. Jesus Christ. Crime happens a lot in this place. 19th of February, 9:47 a.m. British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice Office. Did you sleep last night, Mr. Naruhodo? No, not at all. It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms were so luxurious. I felt like we were staying in a palace. And with all the gas lights twinkling, it was brighter than day, even in the middle of the night. What about the enormous beds? After my time on the SS Bruya, I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. I spent my entire night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other. Oh, that's so, like, childlike. That's so cute. Oh yes, it really was a sort of night you could only dream of normally. Except when I learned that we owed £3 for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Oops, sorry about that. The building was so impressive and the entrance was so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking. In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. I did try, but I'm afraid I can't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. Oh, I bet. I know how that feels. It's like trying to stay in a shoebox in this big city. I'm really sorry. Well, never mind. We must find more affordable lodging straight away, though. If we are not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less. London is a scary place. Ah, good morning to you at this early hour. Oh, it's the one that looks like Dio. Oh, yes, we're, well, good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We have come to report the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday. Susan is amazing. She doesn't bat an eyelid, even in the presence of an imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe you had very comprehensive intentions into the British courtroom practices. Oh, yes, it was very eye-opening. Thank you. I mean, you know, once you get past the everyone hits flames into one of the, like, what is it called? What is it called? The scales, and then one of the scales to prove innocent or guilty, but you know, totally not, you know, overexposing or overimpressing. Just a little bit, just a little bit, you know. Just take some getting used to. And in accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruhodo performed his duty to the end. Yes, I've already been apprised of events. Also, then you heard that the guy basically got off, and then the omnibus that they were quote-unquote inspecting is now burnt to a crisp, so no one can basically determine if he's truly guilty or not. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. I feel like that's not fair, but thanks. No longer are you a student of the Empire from the Empire of Japan, you may henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. Imagine becoming a lawyer this way. Imagine you study like a certain law of a different country for 40 days. On a trip going to said country because your friend passed away due to quote-unquote an unfortunate incident. Then you basically get put on a trial. You basically get hired to be a defense lawyer for a shady guy you've never met, and he's paying you all sorts of money because the Chief Justice of said country said, hey, if you get this guy off, you could become, I'll acknowledge you as a full-fledged lawyer. How does that make any sense to you? It doesn't make sense to me. To me, that just sounds like a whole bunch of hubbub, but you know, I didn't write this game. So, we just leave it at that. But to me, that's kind of, I feel like, you know, I feel like that's a little bit, kind of just, you know, wishful thinking. This kind of just seems a little too fiction. But, you know, 'tis is what it is. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern land. Yeah, it's just that, you know, the prosecutor may be a little racist, but, you know, it was the times back then. Thank you very much. So, I'm a lawyer now. Now, in the view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. Are you just gonna be appointing my cases every single time until people recognize me as a lawyer? Like, is my... I'd like you to take it on at once, and I trust that that won't be a problem. Will I be paid? Another case already? Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. AKA, we ain't got nobody to defend this person, and you're kind of free anyway, right? Right? Yeah? I'm sure I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I? Ain't like I got much to do here. It's just that the trial yesterday ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it. What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? He got off. Whatever. The capability of the defendant has now, at the present time, has been established by the court. I'm not going over this again. He was found not guilty. It's like, why are we doing a cross? In case you didn't remember what happened, he bat off some bull. He got us off some bull, and because we can't prove that he probably fabricated evidence. And the thing is, like, multiple people thought he wasn't guilty. So, well, multiple people thought he was guilty. I just can't help wondering if Mr. 𝕤𝕤𝕐𝕦 really was innocent. Mr. 𝕤𝕒𝕠𝕦𝕐, it's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you needn't let it trouble you for a second longer. Is he in jail? Sorry? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? Magnus 𝕤𝕤𝕐𝕦 passed away immediately following the trial. Excuse me? Run that by me one more time. Someone killed old boy? Was he in the flame carriage? Was that him? Oh, we gonna have to talk because he needs his. Did he get away with like faking murder too? Oh my god, he faked his death. Oh my lord. No! Yes. What? Mr. 𝕤𝕤𝕐𝕦 is. Did? No, he faked his murder. He 100% faked his murder. I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk. Okay, so let's find out who I'm dealing with right now. Alright, so let's talk to him. Because I definitely 100% believe that 𝕤𝕤𝕐𝕦 faked his death. I don't understand. What happened? How can he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you'll presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yeah, it was the thing that he used. Yes, of course, that was the scene of the crime of which Mr. 𝕤𝕤𝕐𝕦 had been accused of. How small is that thing, is what I want to know. Like, just, you know, how tiny is it? Just let me know. That's all I care. That's all I want to know. Precisely. Well, why would the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter? Of course it was, because no one's ever really paying attention. The omnibus went up in flames. You don't say. No. How can such a thing have happened? Because no one was paying attention, and he probably set it on fire. That is being investigated as we speak, but already. The police have identified a corpse found inside the carriage, shell of the carriage of that of Mr. 𝕤𝕤𝕐𝕦. Are you sure? Are you positive it's him? That's awful! The man must have slipped inside whilst the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. That bailiff really needs to pay more attention. It's like they're just like, oh yeah, he died because, you know, bailiff wasn't paying attention. Oh yeah, it's all the bailiff's fault. Not like he was probably paid handsomely to look the other way while he faked his own death. And how could that have happened? Money makes a lot of things happen, dear. That is also being investigated as we speak. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, 𝕤𝕤𝕐𝕦 did mention going back to the courtroom to look at the omnibus. More flashbacks? Is this just a case of flashbacks? Yeah, book attacks now. I'm gonna go look at the bus. Yes, I'm aware of what he said. An inspection of the omnibus? Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage. What did I say? What did I say? He faked his murder. He faked his own death. But then who was Mr. 𝕤𝕤𝕤 talking about? Never mind that now. The yard is making a thorough investigation. This is key to a case. If he told me, hey yo, I'm gonna go check out this omnibus because they're gonna go examine it and I wanted to just be there, don't you think that's important for them to know that like he went there because someone told him they were investigating? I'm tired. That matter is no longer a concern of yours. Leave it to the police. What? What is this justice system? Poor Mr. 𝕤𝕤𝕤. Poor Mr. 𝕤𝕤𝕤. The dude probably murdered someone for no reason other than to have his own money. And you want to say, poor Mr. 𝕤𝕤𝕤? Okay. Okay. You know what? I must be the only person who's sitting there going, like, am I crazy? I feel like I'm the only crazy. I feel like I'm the only person who's not in this room that's like insane. Alright, well, that's the end of that. Let's talk about the British courtroom that was actually bizarre. Oh, I forget he has that thing. How did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Kinda extreme. Kinda like out there. Oh, well, I don't know. It was, wow. Mr. Naruhodo means the whole experience was steeped into the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It really is a worlds apart from our judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. At least ours makes sense, you know. There was a courtroom, there's the judge, there's, you know, people going back and forth, and then the judge makes a decision. But nah, y'all got like a whole like jury that gets to do flames. That is still bizarre to me. How is there no injuries? Wow. Susan has such a way with words. She's kiss-assing. That's all that it is for Nosuke. And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. Ooh, slide this. The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. Okay, bro. The most advanced in the world? Is it? Have you seen America's? It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple? As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose. Well, yeah, because it made it seem like you could lose, but there were several moments where, like, for sure, you definitely, like, there was no way that it's more like the trial you couldn't win. Like, you won, but not really. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but that case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were incriminating. I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? He didn't even look like he laughed. No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the non-guilty verdict you set out to achieve. Yeah, but... Alright. And that can only be attributed to an exceptional talent. Wouldn't you agree? Press it out. X for doubt. No. Well, I don't know about that. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations. I freely admit that much at least is an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I have prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before. Just basically forget all that. Like, I know you were kind of surprised by all that. I know it kind of threw you for a loop, but we got a new one for you. Okay, what is going on? What was he going to say before? Alright, well, you know, I guess we can't harper on Mr. McGilded forever, so... New case. Could you perhaps give us more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me. It's a murder, and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming, quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this is completely different. Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind? That is to say, no one has died. As of yet. And the trial will not begin today. There'll be plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. Oh, sure. So I have a day to figure out everything. Got it. Love it here. So the trial's tomorrow then. Is everything alright? No! Because we have literally less than a day to find everything out about this case and make sure that we basically get whoever from being guilty. Maybe they are guilty. We don't know. Yesterday's trial was... well, it left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Gotta say, Chief, we're not, but you know, what do I know? Well, Mr. 𝕤𝕒𝕤𝕤, I don't know if I could face standing in courtroom again after Mr. McGilded's trial. Ah, yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Oh, do tell. Once again, there is certainly no one to advocate for the defense. Oh, of course not. Why would there be? If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented, and if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrifying end awaits the defendant. Yes, that's right. Oh, here we go again. Your time is up. You will have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. Ha, your whole theme is clockwork. Got it. There is now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time he mentioned 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. 𝕤𝕤𝕤. There is something I should like to ask you. Oh, what's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something that you intend to see through the will of your late apricot, a compatriot, Mr. Asagi, my hubby. I miss him. I already miss him so much. I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Oh, well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how to do the greatest justice system in the world work so he could change hours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing. Oh. Another thing? Continue. On the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important that I have to do. Something very important? And what exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done it if he'd never made it in Great Britain a year at a time. Well, Thank you for the enlightenment discussion. Mr. Naruhodo, what's all this about? Mr. Asagi never mentioned any of the sort to me. Well, you weren't his best friend, so I'd urge you both to focus your attentions on the matter at hand. I take the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to apprise you of all the details. Are you like my gumshoe? Are you my gumshoe? How long has he been there? So, I wish you best of luck and I bid you a farewell. Girl, what is it? There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean? I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. I feel like this one is a long case. Anyway, we had better talk to the detective. Do you think? Don't you think? Yes, you're right. I'm just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. You know, most cops don't. So you're not my gumshoe, because gumshoe is a lot more happier. Alright, so let's go examine the detective. Then I can do anything else. Well, hello, sir. Are you eating potatoes? Could we trouble you? What do you think? Uh, um, uh, lovely weather, isn't it? What does the weather got to do with anything? Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some flippery about the weather doesn't get every English gent eating out of your hand, you know. But Susan told me it was foolproof. I'm a busy man, a very busy man. Alright, calm down, buddy. You're gonna choke on that. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here having to give the likes of you a talking. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. Can you imagine what the other officers will be? Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying? Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's busy with the big wigs these days. And all because of some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never heard of. You've never heard of Japan? Hear that ripping sound? That's my reputation at the yard going to tatters. I thought that was you eating, but okay. And there's no need to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. 𝕤𝕒𝕤𝕤 Naruhodo, a defense lawyer. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's jujitsu assistant, It's a lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? Oh, she's like, oh, first off, before you try to come at me, you're going to speak to me respectfully and calm all that. We're going to turn that level down several notches and speak to me with respect. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, girl. It's an unseasonably fine, I grant you. London's winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable. How did she pull that off? She's a woman who commands the room. So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. The name's Tobias Gregson. Inspector Is it Gregson or Gregson? Tobias Gregson. Inspector Gregson, to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Gregson? Inspector Gregson. What's the matter with Sue? Does that detective name mean something to her? Alright, let's find out who he is. Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson? He's like, you've heard of me? You're acting like you know this man, Miss Sato. But he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him very well, in fact. Very well. Yes, he features prominently in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh, in that publication. What's it called again? Reddit's magazine? That's a play on the magazine that Sherlock Holmes was featured in. That's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Slomes enjoy a wonderful, friendly rivalry. What is that? Who's the one that does that? And it's like Detective Lestrade. Now I want to watch Sherlock Holmes because of this game. Really? You're the rival of the great Mr. Slomes? That's incredible. Oh, well, I don't know about all that. Mr. Slomes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time. Mr. Slomes is equally complimentary about you. His inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. If you're as competent as Slomes is, then we're in trouble. Because, Lord, is Slomes terrible. Gregson is on the pick of the bad lot of all Scotland Yarders. Those were his That's not a compliment. It's his highest praise. Well, Mr. Slomes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see. And that he's not. And that's to that, and thanks to that magazine, my name is known all over London's town now. That's great, isn't it? I'd have to admit that to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation at the yard went through the roof. Well, that's wonderful. No, it's not. There's nothing more sinister than a man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. You have seriously got to calm down. I'm surprised those potatoes haven't just lodged themselves like all over this room based on that. Rumors? Are you quite sure? He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. His fame's gone to his head. Stuff like that. Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you? He's paranoid, have you not realized? Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying, but I know what folks are like. I'm sure what they're saying, as sure as eggs is eggs. Relax, sir. Chill. Well, I get the feeling this detective could be very hard work. I miss Gumshoe already. Oh dear, perhaps a sudden rise to fame does change people. She is like, oh, is that what people say? I'm gonna just go with what they said. Yes, that's what it is. Yes. Like, she is so like, I'm going to just do whatever people tell me. Like, no personality of her own. Alright, tell me about this case. So, about the case the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Nothing to tell, really. Oh, great, lovely. I'm gonna walk into this with no information as I did last time. As far as we're concerned at the yard, it couldn't be simpler. Oh dear, that probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated. Right on the money, Sue. I wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. A young woman was walking along the pavement on the Briar Road when she was stabbed from the behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she still laid up in the hospital unconscious. Oh, thank God she's alive. That's despicable! What sort of coward would attack the poor woman from behind? Exactly that. A coward. I suppose we you would have finished whoever it was off with the 𝕤𝕒𝕔𝕚𝕒 takedown, would you? You damn right I would. There's neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo. Not her with her hands on her hips. Anyway, after something as whirlwind investigations, the criminal was arrested. He barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit. Or perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question. Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. So sorry? There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecutor has been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord 𝕤𝕒𝕠𝕔𝕚𝕒. Oof. That man, when he's not going against me, is fine. He is fine. He's so attractive. No. Sounds like you've heard of him then. I just faced him yesterday. Oh yes, we're very familiar with Lord 𝕤𝕒𝕠𝕔𝕚𝕒. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself. The Reaper of the Bailey. Ooh, now we can learn more about him. Yay yay! What's his favorite color? What's his zodiac sign? What does he do? Is he single? Lord 𝕤𝕒𝕠𝕔𝕚𝕒, who we faced in court only yesterday. Mr. McGillick told us about him before the trial, didn't he? Oh my god, not another flashback. Oh, but I get to see him! Oh, thank you for the follow, Midnight Luna. What is it? Lunala? Welcome! Hello! How are you today? Thank you for visiting my channel and following me. Enjoy your free follow emotes and enjoy the time spent here. How are you? Tell me how you found me. More JoJo poses. He's so great. I also recently found out that he's like 32, so he's in a good age range. It's good to hear that you're doing well. This Reaper of the Bailey's nickname. I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty. Is that it? Except for me. Except for last time. I guess Mr. McGildy got away. Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord 𝕤𝕒𝕠𝕚𝕒... Oh, nice! I hope you enjoy your time here. Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty. We're on the 4th episode. I just recently started it. And what of it? Oh, well, I think that means that even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant. I mean, as long as our other defendant decides to frame, not frame somebody, but as long as he, like, you know, falsifies evidence, then yeah, I mean, he might have a fighting shot. No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? What happened to the bloke in the inn, eh? He's dead. Are you saying he did it? Magnus McGilded came a cropper in that omnibus when it went in flames. So you can't really say you saved the defendant, can you? What are you saying? But we saw the flashback. I don't think, you know, sexy prosecutor guy definitely did it. I'm definitely, there's everything in my whole alien spirit tells me that he definitely faked his death. But you know, Look, if Von Zaddy could get the dirt to stick to everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles. He works magic. Black magic. Black magic's not bad. People just give it a bad name. Anything used incorrectly or used for malice will be seen as bad. I'd have a good long think about it if I were you. Well, that's a good question to ask. Does everyone think black magic is bad? Are you really supposed to believe that? Are we really supposed to believe that? I don't know, man. Not him just munching on potatoes like in front of me. Like, relax, sir. Right? Well, I failed you with it as a request, and I'm very nearly out of chips. Are you? You seem like you had a lot to spare. So, I'm heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there. It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place? What is that book? Is it infinite knowledge? Is this the book of the world? It's like, Jesus Christ. That's correct, ma'am. And if you hurry over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. Oh, I wonder who did it. You've branded him a criminal already? He's as good as. Taking like a leaf in his cell, he is. He'll give you a chuckle if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer and he'll show you the way. Ooh, are you excited? I'm excited. I can't wait to see who this person is. I'm like, I always love the designs of the new characters in the games because they're always like they always have like each have like certain quirks to them. Like even though he seems very simple, he also has like special quirks to him. But it's usually like people who are like on trial, people who like you have to interact with. Those are usually the ones that have like the fancy costumes or like fancy speeches, the way they go about things. It's always interesting. Also, I really love the shark emoji. It's really cute. So, there's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say. Is something troubling you, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh yeah, that I might lose the case and if I do get him off, he might end up dead. To tell you the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in the court again is extremely attractive. I love him so much. I want to see him again. Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage too. But if the man we arrested is innocent, you could well imagine he'd be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find that sight of that funny. I mean, you would be shaking either way, depending on what kind of killer you are. If you're like a ruthless killer, you would want to appear innocent. But if you're like, you know, one that has no, like, you feel confident in like the fact that no one could probably do anything against you, you'd probably be like, that is whatever. So, you know, it's up for grabs here. So if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. And I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. But I'd like to try, so I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help? Of course you will. Do you really think you had to ask? After all, I am your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes! Let's go! Okay, well, so let's move out. Ooh, we can go to Briar Road, or we could go to the prison. I think we should go to the prison. Let's go meet him. do, 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 do. The 19th of February, local prison cell 9. Why are we at 9? Didn't he say 50 something? So these are British prison cells. This looks so grim. Oh, very ghastly. It feels like a dungeon. It is, I think. Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold stone walls. Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo. You're making it seem worse. I mean, it's the truth, dear. You know, you gotta face the truth. I think, what is it? Sweden has like the best prison? Because if you go to Sweden's prison, it actually looks really nice. Apparently, our client is in this cell here. But it's so dark in the back there, I can't make him out. I wonder what he's like. Inmate 53, your legal representation is here to see you. I can't do a British accent, I'm so sorry. Stop hiding at the back of the cell and show your face at once. Am I a cat as yet with no name? Calling me by a number. It's utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable, and I refuse to answer. You already kind of did, love, but, you know, it's okay. Go off. Mr. Naruhodo? What? What do you think is going on here? I have no idea. But I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That tirade of complaints was in Japanese. Oh, it's a Japanese man! Oh! Look at him! Look at that stats. Excuse me, but who? Shh, quiet. Oh, look at his hair. I love it. Are you symboling something to me? Relax. They're all around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening. Even now, I can sense it. Oh, so you're paranoid. Right. So could I ask you, who exactly are you? There you are. You come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it. You're a ghost. Oh, you're really paranoid. A ghost? Oh, this man couldn't. He is tweaking. Oh my God, sir. Relax. Breathe in. Everybody, we're gonna do some, in and out exercises. Ready? Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, relax. We mean you no harm, prison son. Are you Japanese by any chance? Oh my God, look at his face. Oh my God. This is beyond my wildest dreams. I felt that. Forgive that outburst before. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. We're just a little surprised, that's all. Oh, imagine it! I've been 12 long months since I've left my hometown, and here I am, in a frightful fix in a foreign land. Relax. I definitely get that. So hearing sweet sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this damp, dark hellhole was a most monumental, moving moment. Oh, he is everything. I love him. Who could have guessed that the new client Lord Stronghar assigned us to would turn out to be a fellow Japanese? Ah, what compassion my fellow countrymen show. To dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never failing, 𝕒𝕒𝕐𝕒𝕒𝕒. Oh, so 𝕒𝕐𝕤 is not really a bad word here, because he said it. A first-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there's been some sort of misunderstanding here. I wonder, who would be so kind to tell us what happened? Well, why you've been detained as a suspect, for example? Yes, yes, I can. I will. Shan't stay sullen and silent. Are you just gonna pose with every alliteration? Because I am definitely here for it. I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but seems happy. He does. I just hope he actually does have a good reason to be. Thank you for your cooperation. I'm a lawyer, as you said. My name is 𝕤𝕒𝕚𝕤, and I am Naruhodo-san's judicial assistant. That's 𝕘𝕒𝕤𝕤. I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notably, nutritiously named Natsume Suzuki Natsume. Oh my godness. Okay. He is absolutely adorable, and I absolutely can't get enough of him. He is bonito, so perfect. I love him. He's absolutely great. He's actually really stunning, and I think he's super great. Like the way he's so extra and he does the most. I love it here. He's totally amazing. Oh my god, I think he's perfect. I really hope he's not a murderer because he's absolutely a dream. Sasuke Natsume-san, what's an unusual name? Call me Suzuki, please. I'm a poet, you see, a writer of haiku. Oh, is that why? It's something of a non-diplôme. A non-diplôme? You mean an alias? Also, I don't think this showed up when this happened. Did it? I want to make sure it did. It didn't work, and I want to make sure it did. There it is. That's right, Naruhodo-san. No, no, no. Don't be so pessimistic. I'm much more refined than that. And haiku? That reminds me of home. Did I hear you say something? Did you say that you were a visiting student? And over by the government? Yes, that's right. A year ago, I was told to go and study English. First, I had to suffer that misery, and now this! It's beyond the pale! I mean, yeah, English is a terrible language. I messed up all the time. Truly, it's an awful language. I can't ever get it right. Suffer the misery? Did you not want to study here? No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh? But just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can do it, no? What do you mean? If they told me to go study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable. I see. Only the other day I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words on white washi. He writes haikus as he talks. I just realized this. This man is absolutely a dreamboat, and I absolutely think he's super cool. Oh man, he is so perfect. Well done. Oh my god. I love characters that are this extra. I think that's why I love this game. Because when they're extra, it's so much fun. It's so much fun, yo. Ah! Truly a sight to behold when they're this extra. It's like, oh yes! Please be extra. You must be a fan. A standing. Oh yes, so I'm told. And often like to be told, it seems. Okay. He's giving me a run for my money because he's making me tired just thinking about him. Man. Okay, so tell me about the accusation against you. Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Suzuki-san? I didn't do it. I didn't commit the atrocious murder. Murder? Oh, no, not a... No, it's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes! You know, if you strain anymore, you're going to give yourself a hernia. Like, relax, sir. Chill out. You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. What? If I did, the person who did it, do you think I'd be locked up in here? Oh dear, it seems the case is becoming rather complicated. Why me? Why me? Why did they say this other woman had to be stabbed in front of me? You know, sometimes you're just a victim of circumstance, I guess. Wrong place, wrong time, I guess? It's the curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient. Good job. So, Suzuki-san, he's making me laugh. I'm so sorry. Because he's so great. He's so extra. He's just like, I love it. So Suzuki-san was there at the scene, but he did not see the attacker. It's vital that we find out more about the case. Well, obviously we're gonna find out more about the case. It's the accursed. It was an accursed evening, just how the snow had started to clear with fog. I've been to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back to the accused lodgings, my accursed lodgings. Sure, you sure the bookshop wasn't accursed too? And I was walking among the accursed pavement. While I was riding on the accursed train to the accursed stop, I was eating an accursed steam bun. Oh, when I was walking along the accursed pavement, I could make out the whole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman, wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let another scream and collapsed into the cold, hard claps of my stone feet. Well, at my feet. Ooh, Lord, he looks absolutely terrified. I have not seen that expression. How terrible. I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard. Slight exaggeration there, perhaps. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. What did I tell you? Everything's accursed. That's not good. They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that. I mean, you saw a dead woman and you were just like, hey, well, I don't know anything about that, so you just left. You didn't call the cops. I think that's why they put you in, because they think you did it because you kind of ran away. You could have just told the cops. You could have ran to go get the cops, so that makes you look guilty by association. Tell me, Suzuki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours? Don't be ridiculous! Do you think I know any of these fair-haired English? And a young woman at that? I'm different, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people. We've noticed. I see. A young woman unknown to Setsu-san. And at the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anyone pass by you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one? Oh, great. So the victim was unknown to you. There was no one else at the street at the time. That creates a conundrum, doesn't it? You think? What conundrum? Because there's nobody else there, so that means he has to... So they assume that the person running away must have been you. How unfortunate! Uh-oh! How unfortunate! What do you mean, Sato-san? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Sato-san has just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says that he didn't know the victim and there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen. I did. But what if that's the case? Surely this man has to be the culprit. Oh, you! What did you just say? I didn't say anything. Nothing. I didn't say anything. Oops. Perhaps I thought a little loudly. Actually, that's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Sato-san actually come to be arrested? Sorry? He didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him. Oh, she's smart. I was not even paying attention because I was too busy listening to his outburst. But that's true. If he ran away when he saw her, and there was no one else to technically see him, so how did they know to arrest him? So how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place? Oh yes, she's right. Did you tell the police? It was him. The accursed great detective. He led the police to me. Of all the bad luck. Accursed great detective? Could it be? I shall never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his hectically laugh and that self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed, busybody, be gone. May you be cursed until the end of your days, Sherlock Holmes. I knew it. Mr. Slumps? This is why I'm like, he gets things wrong all the time. I love the music in this game. Well, I didn't expect to hear this name. That name from this man's lips, that's for sure. It was the morning after the nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me, the accursed pavement. I was gnawing on a silver of hard cheese when some men suddenly bust through the door. They started shouting at me, "This is the police! Put the weapon down!" Yes, it was a thin silver, and yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon. Disgusting, dietary discrimination, devils! I wonder, does he ever get tired, like, doing all these poses and extraness? I think he would fit very well in JoJo. And this is coming from someone who hasn't even really seen JoJo, just knows of JoJo, but I think he would fit very well in JoJo. You clearly had a trying morning yesterday. And there he was, in the middle of the policemen, grinning like a chest-hair's cat. That Sherlock Holmes. Chill out. And it's actually Sherlock Holmes. He's English. I've since found out that he's a famous name in detection here in London. Yes, the great detective is really very well known. and he's overly sharp mind and managed to deduce my whereabouts apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman. Me? This weak scoops kitten of a man? Don't talk about yourself that way, that's not nice. I wonder what great deduction process led him to this conclusion this time. It's likely wrong, but he wasn't wrong that he knew to find somebody who was at the scene and discovered the woman, but he was wrong about the person he chose, apparently. Do you mean to say that Mr. Sloane's deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be a really unreasonable. Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in. Of course you were. That's only natural. I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me in impossible English. Fiendish foreign film flaminery. Well, we're in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English. Good point, good point. But my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. I don't know why that came up. Sorry. So I kept repeating things like, yes I do, and I'm fine. The next thing I knew, I was in manacles, and before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear, I'm afraid that hardly surprising. I'm fine. He's not fine now. So they misunderstood him. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo and Squire. Oh, you can just call me Naruhodo. When we're speaking in English, a simple Mr. is more than enough. Oh, yes, alright, yes, they've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. Just a little subtle, like, you know, xenophobic here. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You could tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, why? Why is it so hard to say yes to me? Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself, on a study tour. A student? I have defended a case in the Old Bailey, only the one though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice is in this country even means. Oh, Naruhodo-san. I wasn't expecting him to say that. Not even that. I'm not even the foreign student who was supposed to be here. I'm a sort of low-com lawyer, I suppose. But that armband, that's the armband of a defense lawyer from our great empire. It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He was my best friend. A keepsake? At least he's honest with his victim. Woo, wow, bad. With his, person, he doesn't want them to have this false sense of, like, that everything's gonna be okay. He's letting them know, hey, yo, I don't even know how to really be a lawyer like that. And I feel bad defending you because I don't really know how that's gonna go for you because they could say this can go one way or another. So in reality, it's better that you just like know the full aspects of what's happening here. You know me as a lawyer, you know me as this whole situation is the case. Just know that like there's not a 100% good chance that like I'll know what I'm doing because the man that I got off of for murder, who got away with murder, ended up dying, supposedly. I don't believe that, but that's the story we're going with. And the case went topsy-turvy, and I didn't even know what was going on. So, you know, it could go either way, to be honest. I know exactly what they're saying about me. Oh, who do you mean? The lawyers, all the British defense lawyers, they won't defend me. Goodness, why did you say that? It's 'cause I'm Japanese, isn't it? Ugh. For the same reason as you noted before. When it happened, There was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. It must be very hard for you, said Suzuki-san. And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them. Somebody to not be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot without my computation at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said, and of course the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say that man doesn't even understand half of what's being said anyway. That's awful. They're wrong. I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there in the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country, and it's a great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. Oh, it's really honorable, actually. It's really sweet. You can do it, wouldn't you? Well, I look into your eyes. I can see it. I can see what you've been through. Suzuki-san, it's just that... Give me a little time, please. Hmm? I'll do what I can for the time being. What do you mean? We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure. Oh yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. I am student Mr. Naruhodo-Squire. We should be going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for. Normally, I would end it here, but I want to keep going. I want to keep going for the rest of it because I want to move. These cases usually take a long time, so I want to move a little bit faster with the scene. So, because normally I split up my days in half and half, but we're gonna keep going in this game because I want to see where this case leads me. I'm actually excited to play this game, and I always feel bad when I have to cut it off. So, moving on. So let's go investigate the crime scene and see what happened, and let's go and see exactly who may have hurt that poor woman. Doo 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 doo. 19th of February, Briar Road. Ooh. So this is where it happened. Briar Road. Oh, look, Mr. Naruhodo. Look at the regulation metal helmet. It's unmistakable. The men of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak. That is their job, you know. But Mr. Naruhodo, to see one with my own eyes? They're often depicted in the adventure of Sherlock slums, but I never dreamt I've ever come to this close. It's a real Bobby's helmet. What? The helmet? Of course! I have to try one on one day. Well, I hope your heady dreams come true. Oh, we got more chips. What's the Japanese distillation doing here? Oh, Inspector Gregson. This isn't one of the tourist trails, and I'm fairly sure you're very well aware. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So you've been on the holding cells then? What do you make of the criminal? He's not a criminal, as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. More racism! Well, Do what you will. It doesn't bother me. The bloke's in court tomorrow, whatever happens, and the verdict's a foregone conclusion. Ugh, the stone cold air of rejection. Take heart. London's at the time of the year is full of stone cold air. That makes it worse somehow. Alright, let's do some investigations. I feel like we're gonna have to talk to him, so that's why he's standing here, so more talking. So, let's see. Tell me more about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I've read about it in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, man. Oh, and you know, I've always dreamed of wearing a real Bobby's helmet. It does make them look the part, seeing the policeman there with his helmet on. Welcome, 𝕒𝕒𝕤𝕤, and the chap is the inspector policeman. Well, I'm sorry, he's a detective, but also the inspector. And thank you so much! It does make them look the part, seeing that the policeman were there with his helmet on. You certainly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city. Oh yes, doesn't it look wonderful? Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Oh, really? First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes around and riles all the laborers on his beat so they can get off to work. What? He wakes people up? Yep. Raps on their windows with a long pole. Did it myself going back a bit. Who has a... Imagine that being a job. Imagine being a policeman, going to everybody's houses and just being like, Ayo, wake up. Ayo, wake up. Ayo, wake up. Everybody get up. You don't even know when I work. You're just like, get up. Get up. The Bobby works for the people of the town. It is another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. I can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. 20 miles? That's approximately in the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot? That's taking things a step too far. And when it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the street lamps. Oh my! And I suppose in between all of those duties, armies are expected to investigate cases as well? And chase after criminals trying to evade the law? I'm not sure you could call it in between exactly. More alongside, but yes. Imagine going to the police academy, right? Or, I don't know if they have a police academy in London. And then you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna go defend, I'm gonna go fight bad guys, boo boo boo, I'm gonna go put criminals in jail. And they're like, alright, yeah, so first job, go wake everybody up, and then I want you to light all the gas lamps on the street, and, you know, make sure nobody's doing nothing terrible. And, make sure you walk 20 miles a day. You will have the worst time of your life. You will hate being a cop so much, because if that is a job, I will seriously quit tomorrow. They're expected to handle these jobs as well. We do have men keeling over from time to time, I admit. Could it be that you overwork them? I think it might be because you overwork them? Just a little bit, just a tad. If you could bear with me. And I always think of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it was with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruto. What? To me? Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. Alright, let's learn more about the case. It happened at around 5 in the evening, 2 days ago, just there on that open pit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she was being treated in the hospital. I never said she was a lady. I'm sorry? Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all. I suppose that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. There's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. I just don't happen to have this map on me. Really? Are you sure? It's the Lord's policy to give the lawyers offending suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still. Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept. Nice. Anyway, as far as we know, there's no one else on the scene other than the victim with your fellow countrymen. But who did it, do you think? Not much of a head-scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming to not to have seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean we can just be sure that nobody else was present. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure. How? Because, ma'am, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have 2 very reliable witnesses, no less. Every time you have witnesses, sometimes something goes wrong, but you know. From every case I've seen, witnesses mean spake diddly, so bring on your witnesses. Ah! It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them. They were witnesses now? Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife, and the man's one of the most reliable, respected citizens of all of London. I just offended another respectable citizens of all of London, and now he's dead. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. Ooh. Because cops never lie. A policeman. That might change things up. And this policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked? Not particularly about that, ma'am. Part of the parcel, being a bobbing, catching them bang in the act and all that. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask the policeman a few questions? Be my guest. You can ask him what you like. In the courtroom tomorrow. Ugh, come on, work with me. Oh, I have no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So, that will give you something to look forward to. That's that then. He's got no intention to let us meet the man beforehand, it seems. This is unrealistic, because you'll be able to have a chance to talk to the witnesses before they go on trial, so that you have a way of being like, okay, you get a little bit of information, and then you really stick them in the courtroom. But I guess a policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed. No shit, Sherlock. Yes, a non-judicial assistant. I could have warned me of that too. Oh yes, once more thing, Inspector. What? The person who led you to the suspect. I hear that it was Sherlock Holmes. What are you bringing him up for? Was it something I said? The color has drained from his cheeks. Ooh, I want to talk about Mr. Sloane's, but I need to. Okay, we'll go with Mr. Sloane's first, and then we'll talk about tomorrow's trial because he's like. Ooh, the music stopped. That means we're gonna learn either something really important, or something goofy is about to happen. Let's see. Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume's who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sloane's was with the police when they entering his lodging. Not saying that they're the most inaccurate, however. When do they ever do anything correctly? I mean, it is a video game. I try my hardest to know this, but sometimes it just throws me for a loop. I'm just like, ah, that's not how that would go. I'm sure it was a result of one of of Mr. Slum's inspirational great deductions that is usually wrong. Fiddle faddle. Ah, the man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. For once, I agree with you, Mr. Gregson. Gregson. Oh. I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case, as he did with me. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Gibble gabble. We got fiddle faddle, gibble gabble. Ah, I've never seen this before. Oh, yes, that's Rennett's magazine. The most wonderful publication in which the adventures of Sherlock Holmes appears. Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, seems to fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories. And its so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. If you ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be including in any of Sherlock Holmes' tale at all. Well, I suppose there is an element of that. We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be fronted by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. You know, I've never agreed with the character more. This man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to all of our criminals. I mean, that's a bit pushing it. That really can't be true, can it, Inspector? Clearly, the great detective and the police have a complex relationship. That's always been the case, though. Sherlock has always had, like, and he's always been at odds with the Inspector. So, their relationship kind of fits. I guess, for me, if they wanted to go with the, oh, we're gonna do everything backwards kind of thing, I thought they would have made them, like, brothers, or like, well, not brothers, but, like, make them get along. But I guess we're just going with the fact that, like, Sherlock is always he always gets under, the Inspector's skin, because usually he figures out stuff before the Inspector, like, stuff that the Inspector would never think to do, because the Inspector is following a typical pattern of how to solve a case. So, for this to work out, at least usually that's how it goes. It's always like, in Sherlock Holmes' case, he would always see something that Lestrade would either miss or not pay attention to, or wouldn't even think to do, because Sherlock has bizarre ways. But in other cases, Lestrade would depend on Sherlock, because Sherlock has no real ties to the law. He doesn't have to actually abide by the law because he's a consulting detective. So it's kind of interesting. Oh my gosh, Sherlock Holmes is 𝕒𝕒𝕐𝕦𝕤. Yeah, basically. Let's talk about tomorrow's trial. That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you gonna defend him or not? I think we should. Well, makes no difference to me, but I will say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole. It's related to Christmas already. I wouldn't touch you with a 6.5-foot pole. Because the prosecution is being handled by the 𝕒𝕒𝕤𝕤, you mean? There's no way to save that man now. It's a waste of time trying. It's all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper? He hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now. Yes, we did hear something to that effect. And the only people who usually bother with are the real scum, the master criminals, the violent ones. Which makes sense why he was in Mr. McGilded's case. He wouldn't be there because Mr. McGilded was a terrible person. And he got off. So, meh. Master criminals? The violent ones? That's right. He handpicks his victims, only deals with the most guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsume wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely. That's just my point, Sunshine. Yeah, the young woman was stabbed, but he didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. So this isn't the sort of case I expected the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for a better phrase. Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No, there's got to be more to it. Some reason he's taken an interest. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? And we're gonna find out in just a brief second. I'm gonna be right back. I need more water, and I'm gonna get something from my throat because I am reading a lot. So I'll be right back. Alright, let's get back to it. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? You think I can tell what's going on inside of the head of that Lord of Darkness? Such a title. You'll have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. Okay, so we can't just talk to people, apparently. No talking. How dare you want to talk to people? You want to talk to people? Buppycock. Nothing. Are they really going to have to face the Reaper again? The Lord of Darkness, as he puts it? Apparently. Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective. Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion? Ah, yes, what is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. By him, do you mean Mr. Slums? Yes, Mr. Herlock Slums, exactly. How are we supposed to find him, genius? Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Naruhodo did blame Mr. Slums for all this. Well, I said Naruhodo. Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Slums for all this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in this case. Are we going to ignore that? I hope not. I hope we do. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Slums again. I hope not either, because he's not that attractive, girl. Get better taste. Yeah, see, the trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address, even. It's Baker Street. How do you know that? It's in the stories, of course. 221B Baker Street. The most famous address in the world. It is one of the most famous addresses in the world, other than the White House address. Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. better try to find our way there before Miss Sue gets more excited and unpredictable. Hooray! I summoned the carriage. So we have a reunion already with the great detective Mr. Sherlock Holmes. I'm not looking forward to this man at all. But we shall go. I guess we're not. A new location has been added. I guess we're not able to really examine stuff here, so because I think they're here, so we're not really gonna be able to. So let's just head to his suite. I mean, to be honest, if this was like the real Sherlock Holmes, I would be really excited. Ooh, animated scene.
Thank you very much. It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day. Thanks again.
This is it. The residence of Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Gotta say it's impressive every time I see it. Two animations in one scene. How impressive. February 19th, 12:53 p.m. Holmes' suite. It looks decent, organized. Except for the knife holding up the letters there. Let's see, what else are we looking at before we examine? Yeah, nothing else seems out of the ordinary. Well, everything seems fine. So this is where the great detective makes his living. It feels unreal to be here somehow. Still working up to get that game changed. Not because I want to change the game, but more so I could say I have that many points. I'm actually really happy you have those points because I think you're going to need them for my future subathon. It is as addressed in the stories, Miss Sue. She's like probably losing it right now. Miss Sue? Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room. Oh, I suppose they must have been, yes. I've never read the story, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be. The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Not really, because I'm not really a fan of the guy. Can't you, Mr. Naruto? If I say no, will you not flip me over? Oh, I suppose I can, yes. So, if you don't mind... She's like losing it. I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please, don't mind me. She's obsessed. Alright, well... It looks like our detective friend isn't home at the present. Excuse me, is anyone home? We just walked in. We did not. We just went straight into the house. Oh, do we have a visitor? Hello? Is it a big new case for Mr. Slums? Hello? Wait. Aren't you... Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once. I'm sure it's the same girl. Miss Sue, did you see that girl who was just there? Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the king of Bahami came to this very room to ask Mr. Sloan to take on his case. That was a good story. I should read Sherlock. I really should. I should read Sherlock to you guys. That sounds like something that'd be fun. It's a lot of confusing words, but I'd do it. The king of Bowaria? King Wilhelm? Okay, bear with me. King Wilhelm grotesque Sigismund von... Okay, let's do this slowly. King Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund von Olmstein of course. Okay, normally I don't ask Opsy for help. Opsy, if you are paying attention, how do we say this name? Word it for me. Okay, one more time. Okay. King Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund von Olmstein. Sure. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Sherlock Holmes for a moment and look over there. The tea's brewed, and I have a freshly baked cake as well. Man, she's fast. Ah, it's you! I knew it. Sato recognizes her too. More flashbacks. This episode is just pure flashbacks. Yeah, this is just her. We meet her. I'm not reading these lines over again. This episode is just a bunch of flashbacks. That's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. 𝕒𝕤𝕤's trial in the defense antechamber. I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Or you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London. Oh, yes, it was challenging. Well, try this tea. It's my very special blend, you know. Oh, thank you. Is the tea supposed to look that color? Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray! It's a winner. I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see? You must be exhausted after your long voyage here. And you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're a defined... Well, and you're to define a Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck. Defend. Wow, define. Words is such a terrible for me. Did Mr. Slums tell you about us by any chance? Oh, do you know Hurley, do you? Hurley? 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 Mr. Slums to you, surely? Mr. Slums has a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see? Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Mr. Hurley's out on an errand today, even though he's just returned overseas. Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all these things, do you think? I really love her outfit. It's really pretty. And perhaps more to the point, why is she here, Mr. Slum's suite? Oh, silly me. I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Irish Wilson. This is Wilson. The great Wilson. Who's supposed to be a doctor? No, that's Watson. Oh my god, I forgot. Ah! Fake Sherlock fan, fake Sherlock fan, fake Sherlock fan. Ah! I live here together with Hurley. Irish, is it? What a lovely name. What? What's the matter? No, wait, this can't be. Did you say that your name is Wilson? What's the matter, Miss Sue? Why is she so flabbergasted all of a sudden? Hello, Nima. I hope your headache is doing better. Leave me alone. I'm a real Sherlock fan, I promise. I just forgot the name of the time in a moment. Yes, that's right. What are your names? Oh, I'm 𝕤𝕒𝕤𝕤𝕤, a lawyer from Japan. Oh, sorry. I'm Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Sato-san Makotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely, Susie and Runo. Got it. You know what? I'm gonna go with her because she says she gives them nicknames. I'm gonna go with their nicknames now. She's like, I'm gonna give you English names. You are Susie and you are Runo. That's what I'm gonna start calling these people from now on. Sis is brilliant. I love Irish. Love it here. Susie? And Runo? There's more to this girl that meets the eye. I have so many questions for her. I don't know where to start. Yes, and so do I. Alright, so there's something I want to examine because I heard about this cheat, for example, so I want to do it really quickly. How do I move over? There it is. I want to do this. That's what I want to do. I've seen pictures of Western music instruments before. It's called a violin, is it? Of course it is. Mr. Sloan is renowned for his violin playing. He is. One of Sherlock's many quirks is that he can play the violin very well. He's also a really good chemist. This is why he does drugs a lot. He's usually his own drug dealer. Oh, really? Absolutely. It's often explained in stories. It's inspirational, Mr. Naruhodo. Inspirational! I immediately start playing the koto, which was the closest Japanese string instrument I could find. Is the koto the one that they lay on the table and with the strings and they just pluck at it? Is that it? Is that it? Listen, hold on. I want to be sure. I want to be sure that's what that is. She said it's a koto, right? So, instrument. Yeah, it is. Okay, so I thought it was right. She's talking about the one that on the tape where it's like a wooden board. And it's like, it has its own little legs, and then she just like strings with like the little things at the end. Oh, it's really, it sounds really pretty. What a shame you couldn't bring it with you to London. Oh, yes. Well, Papa was beaming when I asked him if he would buy me one. But after a while, he asked me if I would only practice when he was out of the house. Oh, he didn't even like it. Are you terrible at it? So now it's merely an ornament in my room. That must have been an awkward conversation. Hey, I did get it. Okay, I wanted to do that. I learned something about her, so let's go back. Such nice upbeat music. Alright, so let's talk to Irish. So, it was you who ran into yesterday, was it? At the Old Bailey? Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming. Though at the time, we didn't have a rather large gun pointed at us. Girl, woo! Like this? Oh my god. Thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you? Ah yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade. Oh, Guinea! Yes, she's a professional pickpocket. She has nicknames for everybody. So we found out. It's very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that. Are you referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption? Exactly. So I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting self-destruct mechanism in my inventions. This girl is dangerous! She's so pretty though. I like how the ends of her hair are hearts. I thought she would be like, when I saw her, I thought she was gonna be like bratty and be like, yeah, because most cute characters are like bratty, but she's really pleasant and I really like that. She's really nice and I really like watching her. She actually brings me delight. Here we go. Anyway, I brought Ginny back here after that, so she could apologize to my trusty technician. Sorry, your technician? Yeah, of course, silly. Oh, she does it just like him. That's so cute. Hurley? Yes, Herlock. Herlock Slums. We live here together. I had no idea the great detective had such a interesting young daughter. Daughter? Not likely. What? I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? Well, that means, what is your relationship with Mr. Slums? Please don't be related. Please don't be related. Please don't be related. Please don't be related. Well, I expect you found that lodging of any kind of London are very expensive. But the solution is to share the cost with the partner, a roommate. Your roommates? How old are you? I hope you don't mind me asking, Miss Iris, but how old are you? Clearly, wait, like, how old is she? Because she looks like 12 at the most? 10 at last this year. Hold on, time out. A 10-year-old can afford to live in London? Well, what of your mother and father? Oh no, they're not around. Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. Did your parents die? Are you insanely rich? Do you pay? Do you result to your... there's so many questions here. You're a 10-year-old girl living with a grown man who's not listen, Herlock isn't that type of person. I don't think. He's never been, but why not another woman? Especially during these times. Oh yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course. Go ahead, Susie. Not really. She's not. I'm a very great fan of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes and... Oh, you have a copy of 𝕤𝕒𝕤𝕤 magazine! Yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way from Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting! My stories are being read on the other side of the world! I knew it. My stories? That's right. Hurley is always solving such amazing cases, you see. And he tells me all about them. And that's why most of the situations are probably outdated. Or false. They really are quite fascinating. It'd be such a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness. Last night, he was telling me all about a new case he solved on a steamship, traveling from a faraway land. Oh god, did he lie about this one too? He probably did. So I was just in the middle of tying up the manuscript for the next issue before you came. We were that case, I can tell you that this dog is probably lying. Let me tell you. So you are the author? Yes, I'll let you on the secret, if you like. I'm called his latest adventure, the Speckled Band. That's really funny that they're using references to actual Sherlock Holmes stories. Oh, I really want to read some for you guys one day. The Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar. Of course! I always choose one of the two details in the stories, here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of the trouble. Oh, that was Sloane's first thought as well, actually. Yes, and of course, I know there was a snake might not be a credible fit for her facts for the case exactly, but... It's a story! Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, don't you? I hope that Seto-san understands that most of the story was fabricated, so now she's like, oh yes, now this makes sense, because she very much was like, yes, you know, blah 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 blah, I really want to like live up to this situation, and it's like, dude, it's a story though. Relax. She's over there like fantasy, like this is how it's supposed to be, and it's like, nah, my dude, it really ain't. It doesn't go like that. Let her dream. I mean, I just want her to be realistic with her situation. I would like to be read to it. Sounds great. I will. I actually own Sherlock Holmes books, and I think they're common. I think you can find them online. Do you think we could find out Sherlock Holmes Zodiac sign? We can, actually. Actually, let's do that right now. Let's find out Sherlock Holmes Zodiac sign. So, let's see. Sherlock Holmes' birthday. So, Sherlock Holmes has a birthday of January 6th. Which would mean, since I don't have exact year, he doesn't really need one. So, January 6th means that Sherlock Holmes is... Well, he shares some birthdays with celebrities, which I'm not really happy about. I want him to have the most unique birthday. Oh, he's a Capricorn. Normally, I don't really like Capricorn men, but they are smart. They're extremely smart. They're very well versed in things, highly intelligent people, but I see him fitting as a Capricorn because he's very much like, I'm right. I know I'm right. But we shall remember this day. Every January 6th we shall celebrate Sherlock Holmes' birthday, because I really do love Sherlock Holmes. When does that date fall on? Hold on, let's see. January 6th falls on a Thursday, so we can celebrate it in my server. Awesome, nice. And that's when I'll read stories to you guys. Or something related to that nature if I have time. Anyway, what do you mean to say? All the stories about Mr. Sloane's that are published in the Recent magazine? All are written by me? Yes, of course, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter. But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson. Okay, so cool. Oh, Mrs. Sue's getting more work. She's so upset. Yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? She's not. Well, that's all true too. I'm a doctor of medicine. Hold on. This 10-year-old is a doctor of medicine? But you just said you were an inventor. No. At 10 years old? At 10 years old. Well, that's quite incredible. But she looks so heartbroken. Like, Susie is like dying here. Like, how dare this be the case? I was expecting 2 men here. I was fantasizing of 2 men, and now to tell me everything is a lie. It's okay, girl. You know, they say never meet your heroes. You just learn that the hard way. Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Yes. I did alter the setting slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Oh. Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow? It sounds strange that, you know, you live with him being 10-year-old right now, but, you know, I see your point. I suppose it does, yes. Poor Susie. She does look like her whole world has fallen apart. Poor girl. Well, before I ask you that question, there's something I definitely want to understand, right? There's something I want to understand real quick. Oh, a second. If you could. Not over here. She really is like having this time. Look at that. Oh my god, she's got a tea and whatnot. Hello, what's this? You could tell what's her space and what's his. Okay, so let's find out about this. Hey you. Ah, that's my blackboard where I note down ideas. Black Peter? What does that mean? Oh, how intriguing. It must be a title of Iris's latest work. Oh my! I wonder what fantastic tale awaits us. Susie looks like an angel, but I bet her dreaming of the most grisly crime you could imagine. It's a case that Hurley solved just recently, which means someone else did, or someone is in terrible danger because he's awful at solving crimes. A black cat called Peter went missing in the neighborhood. Hurley tracked it down at the fishmonger's in the end. She's like, oh, well, I can't wait for the story to be published. She's like, oh, I thought it was going to be more gruesome. Like, you know, headless murder or something like that. Poor girl is just like killed off. Anyway, let's get back to talking to her. I just wanted to see that real quick. These are the only two sneaks I know about. Other than that, I know nothing else. So let's continue our conversation with her. Let's talk about your deductions just now. About before. Yes, what's on your mind, Runo? Do tell me. How did you know that I was a lawyer? We just arrived in London, I mean. Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all that? Oh, that's what you mean. Yes, please tell me how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course. I'd be delighted, although there really was no mystery. Now, let's begin. Ooh, I'm so excited. Iris Wilson is proud to present her logic and reasoning spectacular. Ooh! Ooh! First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Runo. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber. But you also said that we've only just arrived in London. How did you know that? I observed the passport and traveling ticket protruding from your breast pocket. Oh, so I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you've accepted a case against a particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of the London's court affairs. The Reaper of the Bailey. I walked right into that one, didn't I? Oh, and to mention a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet the suspect, weren't you, earlier today? Ah. They use those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see? I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So, that told me even though you've only visited yesterday, concluded the trial of Magnus McGill did. The two of you had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. So she has the mind of actually of what Sherlock Holmes would actually do. This is what Sherlock Holmes this is how he solves things. He would look at like obvious things like that and just be like, instead of having like regular conversations, he would just know this stuff based on like just looking at people. However, neither of you are wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I concluded the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case. I see. But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It's obviously amused him. He told me that he'd caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling. A Japanese man? That clearly must have been Mr. Natsume. How 𝕤𝕒𝕤𝕒 has a fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, is it, Susie? Well, anyway, it's clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves, and I put two and two together and decided that you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. She is a smart 10-year-old who's very observant, who's very brilliant because she makes stuff. She obviously makes their devices and whatnot. Absolutely brilliant. Why isn't she, like, if they would have made, like, Sherlock Holmes a woman in this case, I would have bought it. But mostly at the time, it's usually like Watson who doesn't really get everything right. He gets partially right and then, you know, kind of mixes there. But, you know, this girl is 100% correct and beautiful. I love her already. Hurley is always stabbing his notes with a knife, you know. He is silly. And that's all there was to it, really. I'm pretty sure that knife back there is probably a letter. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was one of my great deductions. She is absolutely brilliant. I love Iris. She's sweet, she's kind, she's smart, she's very cute. Oh my god, Iris is now one of my favorite characters. Oh my god, yes. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct? They were spot on. And she's a doctor of medicine! Oh my god, that was amazing, Iris. Truly a great why are you with her? Oh, why are you with this man? You need to be. Your future is incredibly bright, little girl. You've managed a certain something, Mr. Slum's delivery. You've managed a certain something of Mr. Slum's delivery. Oh, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. Don't copy him at all. Just do you, girl. Don't even listen to that man. You are certainly 100% more brilliant than he could ever be. Absolutely. Bravo. Bravo. We love it here. This is really good news. Well, could you tell us about the case involving the Japanese man? Will you? Won't you? Iris, please? Tell me more. I just want her to keep talking. She's so great. Which is me talking, but you know, same thing. So yesterday, Mr. Slums apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying? Yes. Hurley had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage, but the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene. Ah, the great detective is a popular man, it seems. Apparently, a woman was stabbed in the street, the quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had who had seen a short, shifty-looking stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking stooped man? Mr. Natsume, beyond any doubt, Sasuke-san said that he didn't see anybody else in the street at all. But it seems they were witnesses after all. Maybe he was so frantic he didn't see them. Hurley used his great detective powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking stooped man shivering in fear. Mr. Sloan's great detection certainly hit the mark this time. I don't think it did. Of course it did. He's a great detective. Oh no, I'm sorry. My mic decided to like mute itself. I'm so sorry. Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. I think he did mess up, but it's our job to figure out how he did it, who actually did it, because for those of you who weren't here, here's the scene. So he was going to the bookstore. Our supposed defendant, because we haven't accepted the case yet, our supposed defendant was walking to the bookstore, and in front of him he saw this woman who was just like laid out on the floor, just like dead. He tried to speak to her. She was like, hey. He realized she wasn't awake. He ran away. And then somehow, like, Sherlock was like, hey, it was him, because people saw him do it, and they went to his house and they just took the guy and they arrested him. And when he was trying to explain to them what happened, because he can't speak English, he was so nervous that he just kept repeating like 2 words, like, I'm fine or whatever, and they took whatever he said as, oh, he confessed to doing it? Okay, cool. So they put him in jail. So surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, is it? Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime. Oh. Yeah, it was very terrible. Like, the guy was like nearly crying because he's like, they're making fun of me, they don't want to hear me out, they're not listening to me, I'm keep telling them that I didn't do it and whatnot. I don't even know what's happening. There's a lot of racism in this game. Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it apparently. Oh dear, I hadn't realized the situation was so dire. That's why we can't afford to spend much time investigating cases and trying to the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person, which is a horrible thing to do, because if that was the case, every black person would be behind bars, would be on standing trial almost every day. It'd be like, oh man, we think you did it. I wasn't even that close to the scene. Oh well, get that there. I'm laughing because it's so real. It's the reality of our world. Terrible. That's terrible. I suppose it's the harsh reality of the working of the world's greatest judicial system. I don't know about that, Susie. I suppose it is, but if that's the case, but in that case, I don't hold out much hope for Sasuke-san. Thank you for answering so many of my questions, Iris. This has been very informative. Oh, you're so most welcome. I've had so much fun. Do you happen to know where Mr. Slomes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about the case. Ah, well, I expect Hurley is still investigating the scene of the case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, Mr. 𝕤𝕒𝕤𝕤? Hurley says he's going to the man's lodging. She's like, Mr. 𝕤𝕒𝕤𝕤? She's like, I can't call him Mr. Nuts. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where those lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Do you happen to come across a detective by the name of Grayson? Or Gregson when you were there? Yes, we know Inspector Gregson. Oh, goody. In that case, give Gregsy this for me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you need to know. What's this? A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems. It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that that won't be a problem." Gosh, that makes the inspector help us, will it? Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try. Good luck then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Band, and I'll be making more special blends of tea, so come back again soon. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Iris has been the most helpful person in this entire game. She's been smart. She knows exactly what's going on. She's like, hey, let me help you with that. She's just so on the money. And not to mention, that girl has a gun the size of a whole bazooka. She's like, hey, yo, I got the bang bang. She's so pretty. And I really... Oh my god, she's so great. She's one of the most intelligent 10-year-olds I've ever seen in the game. Mostly kids are brats, they're annoying. How was the girl that was older than her? Gina, she's like 15. She was annoying as ever, but Iris is so polite and sweet and cute. Oh, absolutely favorite character. Love her so much. Love her so much. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, it's back to the scene of the crime. So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all, we headed back to the scene of the crime when Iris curiously made a note of one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. She gave him money. She's got that money. Iris is rich. To be continued.